Hi, and welcome to the Quilting Life podcast. I'm Chelsi Stratton from Chelsi Stratton Designs.
And I'm Sherri McConnell from A Quilting Life.
And this podcast episode is airing Monday, January 23rd. We're filming it just a little bit early, so we're excited to be here with you all. And we are definitely into January now, so lots of things going on.
Yes.
But first, this episode is brought to you by Cozy Earth. So Mom is going to say a few things about that.
Yeah. And if you have been here for a while, you know that Cozy Earth has been sponsoring several of our episodes, and they're going to do a few more in 2023. And Chelsi and I both have Cozy Earth sheets and pajamas and just absolutely love them. I just want to tell you a few additional things. Cozy Earth loungewear offers optimal comfort while maintaining a flattering, elegant fit. And they also offer premium bath products made from viscose from bamboo. There's a plush collection as well as a waffle towel set that you can get. The bedding is temperature regulating and is available in viscose from bamboo and in linen. And all products come with a 10-year warranty. So give the gift of a good night's rest with Cozy Earth. And we have sure enjoyed it ourselves.
Yes.
We do have a discount code for you, 35% off using the code AQuiltingLife.
And that's for everything on the website.
Everything on the website.
Yes, everything. Yes. Yay for everything.
Yes.
Mom, the glasses are a vibe. I love them on you.
I need them to read. You know how it is. So
that's what glasses are for. Who would have known?
Yes.
Okay, so Mom also has our quilts for today. So if you want to share about those.
Right. So everybody seems to be sharing Valentine's things these days on social media.
It's
everywhere.
Like my whole feed has with Valentine's quilts.
Yeah. So I don't even think I've showed all of my Christmas quilts yet, but I thought that it would be fun to sneak in some of my previous
You might as
quilts.
well.
So
Share the love.
So on the wall is heartstrings, and this is a really, really fun fat eighth quilt. And it uses our Sincerely Yours fabric collection. And one of my favorites, it was quilted by Val Krieger. And I just love this quilt. In fact, this is the one I'm leaving up in the office here, even after we film. Yeah. So I'm going to leave this up for the next several weeks. And on the table, I actually have my Together quilt, which was the Stitch Pink sew along pattern for the Moda Stitch Pink in 2021. And so we still have all the videos on YouTube for how to, step by step go through and make this block. You need the pattern, but I will tell you it's my $5 pattern for the month of January.
Yay.
So if you don't have the Together pattern, you can get that now for $5. And then just right on top, I put my Homebody wall hanging, which is just also all of the quilts are Sincerely Yours and just really fun little wall hanging if you're looking for a smaller project.
I notice you do a really good job at that with our collections. You always have like a wall hanging or a bag or a pillow, so it's really very
like
well rounded. You do enjoy that. I am just all about the quilts.
Yeah, and I should mention the Together quilt on the table was quilted by Marion Bott, and the wall hanging was also quilted by Val Krieger. So.
And the quilt on the wall, right?
Yes.
Because I noticed the cute little...
Yeah, the little swirlies and the big ones.
Yeah, and the squares.
Yeah.
She does such a great job at that. But what I love about this pattern is it's great for any fabric collection.
Oh, yes.
And showcasing prints because of the squares.
Because of the larger pieces.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah. This is definitely a go-to pattern if you want to really highlight a whole collection.
Yeah.
And I've seen it in the Moda catalog with some other designers' collections.
Oh, really?
They've mocked it up. And
fun.
So, yeah.
Awesome.
When I walked in today and saw the Valentine's themed quilts, I was like, wait, that's too early for that. But it makes sense actually because I think there's an episode that comes out the day before Valentine's Day. I was looking yesterday.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, if you share those quilts that day, like this actually would give someone an opportunity to, if they wanted to make one of these quilts right now, they could actually do it before Valentine's Day. Right.
That is the idea.
Yeah.
I mean, it would, I don't know if 3 weeks or whatever is that About
yeah.
enough time?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Especially,
Totally.
for a simple quilt like the one on
Yeah.
the wall, definitely.
Because I think it'll
Or
be
the wall hanging. Yeah.
basically when this comes out 3 weeks until Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then it gives people inspiration and a project to work on, ideas for that. So
Right.
So now it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I thought about putting Christmas quilts up again, but I was just like, oh, let's switch over to Valentine's.
it is time.
So,
I
yeah.
guess you could put more Valentine's Day quilts up on that episode just for theme base because the
Yeah.
next day is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I have my own opinion on Valentine's Day, which
Yeah.
maybe I can share it on that episode.
Okay.
Because there's
Okay.
actually a
I'm
topic.
intrigued.
There's a topic I discuss, and I'd like to have your listeners, this audience, respond to it. Me and Isabel talked about it a while back on, I think last year.
I remember that episode.
But
yeah.
we don't have and we haven't done an episode forever, I know, but we don't have as many listeners, and so I would really like to bring something up and maybe get some feedback. So that's
Oh
a
my
little preview for a
goodness.
couple episodes down
Sounds
the road.
good.
I am I'm invested now. What is
Sounds
going
good.
on? Well, and that's what I'm kind of worried about though is I've been so excited to bring back all of the heart quilts and Valentine's
Right.
quilts on the podcast, but then I still have Christmas quilts to share. So
Right.
I'm like, well, hopefully people are enjoying that in March when I
Yeah.
have time to show the rest of my Christmas quilts. But
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Then you'll just be early for Christmas.
I
next
feel
year.
like June and July is a good time to share Christmas quilts again, too, because that is when the majority of the Christmas
Very true.
fabrics hit the stores.
Very true.
And so then our favorite things fabric will be
Yeah.
available in June, so we could share those quilts again. And
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So much. There's so much going on this year, you guys.
yes, because you have 2 quilts at the quilter right now.
I have 2. You guys
Yeah.
will be so proud. 2 quilts finally at the quilter. December. We're going to get into that next. But December was crazy for me. So actually, this is great leading into our
Yeah.
topic
Oh,
because
I have a product to share too.
share your product because I
Okay.
am familiar with this one.
Okay. So, and this kind of goes to what the comment about my glasses, but this is the Clover needle threader, and I love this. There's a little hole right here. You stick the needle in, you put your thread in, you click the button, and it threads your needle.
It threads it.
And I love this so much. I think I got it when I've had it since I was
Forever.
young 40s. So I've had it, I know I was in my 40s when I got it. So I've had it over 10 years. But the thing that I really love is this little wooden stand. I can't find them anymore. So if anybody knows where you can find, this was a little company, a little shop, and they made it specifically to fit this needle holder. And I bought it, but I went back to link it for a blog post and the website is gone.
No.
So I guess the company is gone. So if anybody knows, anybody who's making these, it's just been so great because it's this little wooden,
Yeah, and it like keeps it in place.
just a piece of oak. There's 4 little things on the bottom. And so I can just set it and it just makes it more stable. That I would still use the needle holder, the needle threader without this, but I love this. So if anybody knows, sometimes we get comments back from things that we don't know about, and hopefully maybe somebody knows if anybody's making these
Mom,
holders.
maybe this can be a career path for Dad.
So we have no link to share it, but we're actually
for the Clover
okay.
threader, yes,
You do.
But not the block.
the block that I
okay.
have it mounted on.
Gotcha. But if anyone does, yeah, so we're asking for help too.
Yeah, if anybody does know.
Also, this is right up Grandpa's alley. He is Mr. Woodworks.
Well, maybe before he was in his 90s.
Before he was in his 90s,
Yeah.
guys. Well,
Not now.
I love your comment how you were like, well, when I was in my early 40s.
Yeah.
And we used to have a joke growing up. I would always be like, oh, Mom, you're my favorite, 30, in your 30s
over.
year old.
Yeah.
You're my favorite friend over 20.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well,
Actually, I do have to say something because we always are sharing fun things. And our quilter, Marion and I were having a conversation on the phone. And it was so funny because she was like, you guys should do that, share your regular things that you share. But then share one of your Costco finds that week or something. It was really funny.
oh, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
My favorite.
maybe you
We
could.
should. I thought it was genius. We were talking about our favorite chicken from Costco yesterday.
Oh, yes, yes. Or Trader Joe's. You could really
or
go down
Trader Joe's.
a
We could
loophole
go
with
down a
Trader
loophole.
Joe's fine.
We should.
Yeah,
You do recipes on your blog. We should.
yeah.
I love it.
That is something I did. Oh, I should actually probably mention this really right now. So occasionally on the podcast, we talk about books that I've read, and I have received a few emails about people wanting me to put more information about the books that I am reading or have read onto the blog. And so I just did a blog post. It is from last Wednesday. So we'll put a link to this in the description, but it's all the books I read in 2022 with a little synopsis description. And so those of you who enjoy reading, you'll find that on the blog. And also, I thank you. Keep a couple of things that I have mentioned before. Somebody just wrote in to tell me about another book by an author that I had read that I hadn't even heard about. And so I really appreciate that.
Oh, that's super nice.
So that was really nice to get that.
Mom was already giving me the rundown on a couple of the books she's read.
Yes.
Helping validate my feelings. I have so much to say on today's topic.
Okay.
Well, before we do that, I do have one listener quilt
Awesome.
to share as well.
Okay.
So that was one that was sent. So I will read the email and put the picture of the quilt up on the screen for those who are watching. So it says, "Dear Sherri and Chelsi, I was blessed with my first grandbaby in August. My darling little granddaughter needed a tummy time playmat, and that prompted me to design and sew my first quilt ever. I called it Butterfly Kisses as a tribute to my late husband, who loved the song and was always giving our daughter butterfly kisses. I know that this quilt is a technical nightmare. I had no experience or knowledge about quilting, but loved the process. I stumbled upon a quilting life on Pinterest and have been bringing quilt videos and blogs and have been viewing quilt videos and blogs ever since. I haven't finished listening to all of your podcasts yet, but I have been listening for an answer to a question. When you take your quilt top in to be quilted, do you need to do anything to prepare it? Do you take your own batting, or does the quilter supply it? Can you please give me a rough estimate on what I should expect to pay for that service? Thank you, ladies, for all you do. Sherri, your high level of organization is right up there with mine. I'm doing the block of the month in 2023. Warm regards," and that's from Tony. So I know there's a little question there too, but I figured maybe we could start off by answering that for her real fast.
Yeah. And that really is what I would say is just really, really communicate with the shop or the person who is going to do your quilting right up front. They will tell you what they like. Most quilters that I know do have batting and can sell that to you for your quilt. I always buy my own batting and take it in myself, or I should say most of the time I provide my own batting, but almost everyone I know who quilts has batting available for the people they quilt for. And the prices are going to range. I think it probably depends on what part of the country you're in. I think 2.5 cents a square inch might be close to average. I don't know. You can probably find 2 cents a square inch if you look. And if you get custom or really dense quilting, it's going to go quite a bit higher too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So all those things I really do think it's a regional thing depending on the economy in your area.
Yeah. And just having, like you said, an open communication
Right.
with that, if it's at your shop or just a local quilter, and they will tell you, like.
Right. And also just really being specific. If you don't want dark thread on a light background, be sure to tell them, or vice versa. So just be really sure to specify the thread color that you want and find out the price so that you're not shocked.
Yeah, when you get it back.
Yeah.
All right. Well, would you guys like me to introduce the main topic for today and sort of set it up for you? Okay. So as I was going through our next episode, which will be 1 week from today, will be all listener questions. And we want to thank everyone who did send in questions after the last episode came out. We got a lot of great questions. We're going to still have to get to some of the ones we hadn't yet before, but really, really good questions. And actually one of them I came across, I talked to my mom about it, and she was like, yeah, this is something we could spend a lot more time on. So this topic actually originated from a listener question. So I'm going to read the question, and then what else I thought was neat was, and there was a response to her question on YouTube, and I thought it was a really good response and suggestion from another listener, which is good to see. And then you guys will take it from there and add on even more to it, and then give some of your own personal experiences. So somebody wrote in, for the first time in years, I'm in a funk and feeling very uninspired. I was usually sewing every day, but I haven't since November. Any suggestions for inspiration? So basically, the main topic is dealing with going into one of those sewing funks where you just don't feel like doing anything, and maybe you have been somebody who does it on a daily basis, and all of a sudden it goes away. So the another listener, though, responded with some good suggestions, and she said, I experience this every so often. For me, just taking the pressure off of sewing and going through my sewing room and cleaning and organizing is all it takes to get me motivated again. I clean up any messes, organize projects, fabric and patterns and books, and clean my sewing machine and organize my sewing tools. I get rid of items I don't need or use. I donate them or give them to someone I know will use them. And that is often plenty to get me motivated. Sometimes there's just too much clutter physically and mentally, and sometimes we experience burnout, especially after the holidays. Sometimes I pick up my other crafty lives, for example, crochet or embroidery, etc., and that really helps me get back into everything. So I thought that was a really great response from another listener to a listener. And but from there, I was going to ask you guys, like, have you dealt with this in your sewing lives? And there's a few other points that we have down there, but the post-holiday burnout or holiday burnout, maybe that's a real thing. And maybe just talk about some of the experiences you've had, and then obviously offer some tips and advice that you could share with them as well.
Yeah, I think this is something that we've both dealt with. And I know Chelsi has a lot she's just like, no, waiting. But I'll say something really quick and then turn over to you, and then maybe I'll wrap it up.
Okay, perfect. Okay. And even Billy, I think he should join in too.
Yeah. No. First of all, I just want to say that I love the response, because that is the first thing that I do. And I actually now do it every single December right after Christmas. I go in and clean up my sewing room, and you find things. And later today, we're going to film my work in progress video for January. And if you watch that video, you'll see some of the things I found while I was doing this cleanup. And so really, really great answer there. And yeah, I do have a lot to say, but I'll let Chelsi go first, because she has been pretty vocal with Billy and I this morning that she has recently dealt with this, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I first off want to say, though, I wonder the things that you find in your sewing room when you clean it out, because you have years of sewing stuff going on in that room. And I'm sure you found a lot of things when you moved into this house. But Mom is 100% right. I walked in here this morning before we started filming, and I just went on and on about how the topic couldn't have been more perfect today, because this is the exact thing that this listener wrote in that has been happening in my life lately, and it has been just a lot. And I think it honestly starts. So first of all, I want to say this is totally normal. I think sewing funks, everyone goes through them. Wouldn't you agree? But we had an extra fabric. So normally we do 2 fabric lines a year.
Right.
And we had an extra collection this year, which has been so exciting. And I think I just wasn't prepared, because for the last several years, it's just been this momentum. We have 2 lines a year. We have it all planned out. Not to say that I haven't been in funks before with those, but
I think also because that 3rd collection released right at the holidays.
Right at the holidays.
Right? Yes. So I think if that 3rd collection had been during another season of the year, it wouldn't have been
so
as much of a
heavy of
yes.
of a workload.
Right.
And so mix that with,
But we were so excited to have it.
Yeah, there's that contrast of being so excited.
Yeah.
And I'm still excited. I love this collection and just feel grateful that we were able to put that collection and put it onto fabric because we had talked about it for so long. And it was just as a mother of 3 and sports and school and kids who are also going through things.
And stomach viruses that hit your family.
And we got the stomach flu and it was all this whole thing. And by the time it got to Christmas Day, I was just like so relieved. Finally, nobody was throwing up. And I was so excited and I was just like, I'm going to be with my family. And I am in a funk and I'm not going to be able to do it because I'm in this funk. And then I wanted to spend time with my family while they were out of school. And I'm just barely getting to a point where I'm getting really organized again. But it happens and it's okay. But I, for a little bit, was feeling really, really bummed about it because nobody wants to be in a sewing funk. Like, you see all these exciting things on social media and blog posts and you want to be joining in. But when you're in a funk, it's like, oh, I don't know if I can do this right now,
Yeah.
But
so what steps did you take to get yourself back into the...
Okay, so this is weird. Mom and I just talked about a book. I don't know which one it is, where you just physically can't do 24 items on a list a day, right? Yeah. It's just not reasonable or healthy. And earlier this past year, I implemented something I called the top 3 because Mom gave me this notepad that had top 3. And since my kids have gone back to school, I have been doing that. And I have told so what I did is we have a calendar on our wall, kind of like how we have the big calendar for scheduling. Mm-hmm. And I planned out my whole month and I didn't schedule everything for one day. I have little micro goals for each of my things. And guess what? I got 2 quilts off to the quilters and Mom helped me set up an email list and I designed.
Yeah, we should put a link to that in the description.
Oh my goodness.
Here, if you want to be on Chelsi's email list.
Yes, please. I have something really fun coming in February. I'll be talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, watch for that. Yeah. But anyways, thank you, Mom.
We'll put both of our email list signups in the description.
Yeah. And I was able to design new quilts for a new fabric collection coming out this year. But I finally had to get it into my head I finally went through my emails last night. We had a conversation about this.
Right.
I answered emails and I got that off my plate. And I've been getting a lot done and I've been putting the focus not on how many things are not done, but about accomplishing those few things each day.
Right.
And so today I came to podcast because I knew it was scheduled.
Right.
And I know what my kids have scheduled. I'm also, guys, like coaching my daughter's basketball team right now. So there's just this month is like really crazy. But I finally feel like I'm getting stuff done. And I called my quilter yesterday because she said, oh, I got your 2 quilts that you sent me. And thank you, Val, for taking those to Marion.
Yeah, that was fun. I got to meet Val and Lisa Bonjean at the highway exit to our town.
They're having like these secret friend meetings without me. Yes. And I'm getting jealous of it.
That was fun to see both of them.
But Val is, thankful to Val. But we had a good conversation, Marion and I, about this. And you just can't do it all. And you can't get down on yourself because you can't do it all. And you can't get down on yourself because you're in a sewing funk. You have to find something that, whether it's a top 3 or organizing 1 bin a day until you finally get a reset and but you will get out of it. I will say that. You will get out of it. I have been through it, you guys.
Yeah.
This is like.
For me, I feel like, sometimes, like you said, micro goals. So I have this scrap quilt that I'm working on. And I can't even remember how many. I think it's 72 quarter square triangles that needed to be trimmed. So
oh my goodness.
I just put on my calendar for 6 days in a row, trim 12. Well, I ended up finishing them on the second day, but at least I wasn't overwhelmed. You know what I mean? Because the second day I started to trim my 12 and I was just like, oh, things are pretty open this afternoon. I'm just going to keep going.
I would not finish the second day. So for those of you in my group, raise your hands, put your hands up.
But no, like I think the important thing was I didn't have on my list trim 60 quarter square triangles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because in your mind, you look at that and that is way more daunting than trimming 12.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Micro goals.
Yeah. That is, and small projects for me are always something that I do to get out of a little, if I can just do something small with a quick win, even if it's making a hand-stitched grandmother's flower garden block, one little block, that's just, I think it just kind of opens up our mind.
Yeah. Small wins.
Yeah. I do have a blog post on this and we can link that too, but I'll just,
you do?
I'll just summarize for you. It's called How to Get Out of a Creative Slump, a Step-by-Step Guide.
Why did you not email this to me?
And the first one that I have was take a break from social media. And I feel like that's really important because if you're on social media when you're feeling this way, you're just going to feel worse because you're going to see everything everybody is doing.
This is so crazy. Right before this, my brain was like, talk about the social media aspect. So keep going because I have like a couple tidbits about it.
Okay, yeah. So number 2 is, just clean up and sort, your area, your space. Yeah. And then look through your works in progress, see if there's something you might want to work on or not. Look through your books and patterns. Brainstorm, where you just sit and just write things down. What do I want to do when I feel like sewing? What do I not want to do? What doesn't bring me joy? And then number 6, I have rest, renewal, and routines. And really, it's okay just to rest and not sew for a while. And, just stay with your renewal and your routines. And then the last step I have is, to make a plan to ease back in.
Mom, is this like a therapy session for me?
This is like
rest, renewal,
Yeah.
routines is exactly it. What I have been coming to this past week.
Right.
And I took my rest because, so first I want to go back to the social media thing. That is the absolute worst thing you can do when you are in a slump or a funk, is go to social media and see the blast of all. I made this today. I just came out with this pattern. This sew along is happening right now. And your brain almost just like goes, I'm behind. I'm missing out. I'm a little stressed about this right now. And it is the greatest thing you can do is to just set the social media aside.
Yeah. Well,
everything going on has nothing to do with it. You just got to set it aside.
Yeah. You know how people talk about dry January for people who drink and then they don't drink in the month of January? So I decided that I was going to, because I was listening to a podcast where they were talking about that. And I was like, oh, well, I don't really drink, but but I decided to do a dry social media January. And so less than an hour a day.
That's really awesome.
Less than an hour a day. And
less than an hour a day.
I'm
writing it down.
The majority of my Instagram from my desktop computer. And it is so refreshing. Yes. So I'm doing all my posting from my computer, not my phone. And then I'll just get on really quick and skim through and reply to any questions that I need to, or, see as many of my favorite. I have, the favorites you can categorize in Instagram so that you can just see people that you follow and not get all of the suggestions.
Yeah.
So I've just been, some days I'm only on there 30 minutes, 40 minutes.
Mom, I am booking an amphitheater and you need to speak. I wish all of our listeners and followers we could meet in person and you could just blast this in an amphitheater.
Oh my goodness.
Speak your piece.
Well, it's YouTube. People can still view them live. Don't have to be live.
No, just like, I love sitting here listening to this because this is also I am literally like soaking all this information in. Mom, thank you for doing the work to listen to the podcast and read the books. And while I'm cleaning up my bathroom, bleaching my bathroom 6 times a day because
Because of the stomach flu.
because of the stomach flu that we had. No, I love that. So I have heard that before. Your phone, everything is so accessible, right? And so the first thing you do, I listen to, people might not like him, Kevin O'Leary on Shark Tank. And he said the absolute first thing you should not do in the morning is check your email or look at your phone.
Right.
He says.
He's not the only one to say that.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
So
yeah, I'm sure.
If you don't like Kevin, what is his name?
O'Leary,
there's other
then
people that say
other
it too.
people
Well,
said
there's a
that.
book by Julie Morgenstern called Never Check Email in the Morning.
Oh,
It's
great.
like 15 years ago, I
Okay,
think.
well, not guys. Whoever said it, not Kevin O'Leary.
Yeah.
But he said in this interview I was watching, and I'm sure these people have said it too. You need to accomplish 3 tasks before you even check your email or do that, and prioritize those 3 things. And I thought that was really important. Also, top 3, guys. Let's.
Yeah.
No,
for me, it's really helpful if I do creative work first. For instance, if I'm able to go into my sewing room even for half an hour and maybe sew a socialites block or just do a little tiny bit of sewing or creative work like writing my blog posts before I look at my email, that is really helpful for me too. Yeah.
I also like that you mentioned writing things down was one of the ways to get out of a funk. So when I've probably shared this, when I was growing up, I was very emotional. Are we surprised? And so Mom would tell me, you just need to write it down on a piece of paper. And that actually is very helpful for me to either write a long list or write my thoughts or write a poem. I don't know. I'm very dramatic, you guys. So I think these are all great ways that you can get out of a funk. But also we need to normalize that these happen,
right?
That funks happen, and you don't have to feel bad about being in a sewing funk because I was just in one.
Yeah. No, and I think looking at quilting books and magazines is a lot different than looking at social media.
So different.
You can just look through, that's more restful and peaceful.
Yeah. Well, you even think about like reading books, Kindle, people's Kindles have just automatically, you can switch back. But I love having a hard copy book.
Yeah.
And I think I drive my husband crazy because I'm always like, drop me off at Barnes & Noble while you go to the golf store, because I could be there for 6 hours and find 20 books I want to read. But
oh yeah.
Well, there's a couple other things I was going to ask based on the initial question and response. So they mentioned the holidays, and you just mentioned it as well, Chelsea. But do you find that is that typical to be coming right out of the holidays and running into this, or is there like a summer doldrums, or is there, in your experience, has there been parts of the year? Is it sort of sporadic, random? Can you talk about that, or does that not really affect you?
No, that is.
I think it can happen anytime. Yeah, I think it can happen anytime.
I agree with that.
I think the holidays are especially prone to it.
Yes, I would say that because we kind of talked about ads and everything. We had a conversation about a big retailer the other day and how during the holidays things are really buy this and do that and have this Christmas countdown, and there's just a lot of things going on that just keep adding onto your plate. And my husband and I have had a conversation about this. In the springtime, it seems like in our valley, boom, 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 we have this activity and this seminar is going on and these sports things are going on and this clinic is going on as soon as the weather gets nice. And it's almost like the parents get in a frenzy because my kid has to be here and my kid has to be doing this. And that's sometimes how I feel the burnout comes from during the holidays for everyone.
Yeah.
Because it's do this, you need this, everyone's doing this type of thing. We got to go ice skating. We got to go Christmas caroling. Like, how do you fit it all in? You can't.
Yeah.
You have to pick and choose the things that are important to you and that serve you in your life. And you just can't do it all.
Yeah.
think that's why. But there's also the summer slump because
Yeah.
But for us,
Because especially if you have young children in your home, they're all home.
They're all home.
Or even if you have teenagers or preteens, they're all home. And so it's a whole different, ball of wax.
Summer here though is sometimes I enjoy it because it is so hot here that it's almost dangerous to be outside so much.
Right.
And I actually get quite a bit of sewing done in the summer. So I'm either swimming or I'm sewing.
Yeah.
All summer long.
Yeah.
Which is basically it. But yeah, I think I would definitely say it happens at specific times during the year sometimes, but it can happen anytime.
Right. Yeah.
Now, what about fabric designing? Do you ever run, especially now you had 3, but one thing I was going to ask, I mean, looking at the quilt you have here, that was probably one of the first, what do you call it, specialized holiday collections?
Yeah, this was our
Valentine's
first kind
Day.
of specialized collection.
This began the frenzy with Mom and I.
Yeah.
And then you had the Christmas one that just recently came out.
Yeah.
Does that sort of help break it up? Because then you already know going into it, okay, this is going to be Valentine's or this is going to be Christmas. And maybe that helps space out some of your more general fabric collections that come out.
I've loved it because we had Sincerely Yours, and then we kind of have had only specialized collections recently because Simply Delightful was a basics rainbow collection.
Right.
Favorite Things has been Christmas.
Right.
And some other stuff coming up. I can't help myself. But then, so that happened to me. I realized we had a fabric line due. This was like mid-November, end of November. I'm like, oh, we have a fabric line due. And I whipped one out that's coming out next year.
Well, and that kept you from sewing.
It kept me from sewing because, it's fabric lines are a lot of work. And there were some fun things with this fabric line that we were doing that required my time and attention. And I really didn't sew. And then it was Thanksgiving week and I was with family.
And then I had that idea that put even more work on you.
Goodness. Mom, but I'm going to give her credit because it's a wonderful idea and it's adorable. You guys are just going to freak out over it when you see it next year.
And I tried really hard to do it myself so Chelsi wouldn't have to do all that extra work, but she ended up having to do the extra work.
I really didn't want to do it, but there have been times, and I don't know if we got this like telekinesis thing going on, but this is what another reason I'm so grateful for our partnership in this is Mom has never been wrong on an idea that she has brought to my attention. Whether it's we need to add a floral or we need to add a basic. And I knew she was right the whole time. And I kept I was kind of like standoffish. I'm like, oh, I don't know if we should. I don't know. Oh, like, I don't know. And then it ended up being this amazing thing. But it took me a lot of time and tears to figure it out.
Yes.
And it's gonna be adorable. But that did keep me from sewing. And I just kept having things pop up that burnt me out.
Yeah.
That needed to be done. And I just,
I think that's why a lot of fabric designers actually hire out a lot of their sewing because they can't do it all. They can't do the design work. And, we're lucky because we have a partnership, but...
and Mom has totally made up like so much slack for me this season because she could tell I was going through stuff which was super nice. But I sometimes wonder, I'm like, how do people do it without like a team?
Yeah. Well, or even like I was thinking about Robin Pickens. She is starting to do some of her own quilting too. And I'm like,
oh, good for
Robin,
her.
how do you do that? Because she bought a long arm and has it.
Goodness.
And so she's designing and she's sewing the quilts and quilting them.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah.
I would not have the energy.
I am really grateful to be on a team. So...
But Billy, you're 100% right in that does kind of help break it up. So when I design this line that's coming out next year, it's kind of a generalized colors and designs and everything, I guess you would say, not holiday inspired.
Right.
And it was very easy for me it was a lot of work, but coming up with the designs and the color palette was kind of refreshing,
right?
Because that's also a hint, that word refreshing.
Yeah.
Because Guys, we're the
Too
worst
early
at
for
keeping
hints.
secrets.
Yeah,
too
and you
early
can't.
for
You'd be surprised how good some people are at figuring things
yeah.
out. So you better be careful with
I
your
need to be
hints,
careful.
Chelsea.
Yeah. No more hints. No more hints, guys. No more hints. But yeah, so it's fabric design is another thing that's thrown in there that we do that is the deadlines can kind of be, oh, we got to get this done. But that's my favorite part is the designing.
I mean, so with that though, with 3 fabric collections, it doesn't even really allow you to take a scheduled break. But I was thinking for people that do this more as a hobby, and if they are falling into a funk, would you say that taking an actual scheduled break, like, okay, I'm falling into something, you know what? I'm going to take 2 weeks off. I'm not going to sew anything. I'm going to do, like she mentioned, maybe some other things aside from quilting, and come back. And then you might realize like, oh, here's a bunch of great new ideas, or here's some new inspiration for me to do something.
Yeah. Take 2 weeks off, go read a book, and then come back to it.
And I've heard in a lot of the books that I read too, do a different creative hobby. And I think this
that's a good idea.
writer mentioned it, like she could crochet or cook. What I tried to do during the holidays is in January so far is I've been trying to just cook more, because I feel like that's still creative.
Yeah.
That's still an outlet, but yet it's different than sewing.
Mom's in the kitchen, bam.
Yeah.
With the salt.
So no, in fact, I feel like my greatest holiday season win was that I made some really good cinnamon rolls. And I have wanted to make them my whole life.
They were awesome.
I really was just like, I am going to do it this year. And I did it. And I found a great recipe and I followed it to the T, and it all worked out. And I was like, wow, I can make cinnamon rolls now. You know, that's a totally different thing than making a quilt. So
They were excelente. Okay.
my husband was like, wow, you can make these now.
Yeah.
So after all these years,
and everyone wanted more, but she was like, oh, I got to save the last cinnamon roll. Like,
Well, there's a lot of similarities because you're following a pattern or you're following a recipe.
yeah,
Right. You know, I mean, obviously it's a skill. People do it more. They get better at it and everything.
Right.
things are just embedded within us. Follow a pattern, follow a recipe.
Yes. Yeah. No, really true.
I hope that we were able to help kind of go through this topic really, really well for everyone about dealing with a sewing funk. I thought that it went really, really great. And hopefully we were helpful, guys.
Yeah. I did want to bring something else up. These two are like, it's not on the outline.
No, that's fine.
We haven't talked about it yet, and that is the closing of Martingale, our publisher. We didn't talk about that.
Yeah.
And it's really, really sad that, one of the biggest publishers in the industry, I believe they've been in business 46 years, is having to shut their doors. And it's been really, really a sad, sad thing. They are an amazing company, and they did offer all of their authors the opportunity to purchase their assets, which Chelsi and I did. I just want to tell you, our Home for the Holidays book is out of print.
Yeah.
And Chelsi has copies left. I have even fewer than she does.
Yeah. And that's it.
And
they're
that's
not reprinting
it. So if you want that book, I would get it. And I don't know how many Amazon has or your local quilt shop, but those books will not be in print again.
Yeah.
And we are talking about, perhaps selling it as an ebook and perhaps the individual patterns digital and possibly even paper, but just wanted to let you know about that. Same thing for my Quilting Life Planner. There are lots of copies of those now, and I'm looking into some different options for that. But as for right now, I would say if you have books that you love, not just by us, but by any Martingale author, you should probably try to purchase those now. Most people have them on sale and at discounted prices.
Yeah.
So, yeah, really a sad thing.
Yeah, we were really sad.
Yeah.
Aww.
Okay, well.
Oh, that's so sad. You
I
ended.
know. I should have talked about it in the beginning of the episode, I guess. But just really grateful to have been associated with such a phenomenal group of people. at Martingale.
Yeah.
And just
Grateful for them.
Yeah. Shout out to Jennifer Keltner and Karen Soltis, who we worked with a lot, and everyone else that we worked with there. So yeah. But
okay. So our next podcast episode is airing Monday, January 30th, and it is a podcast listeners question episode.
Right.
So we really appreciate that everyone who commented in questions, and we can't wait for that episode to come out.
Yeah. Thanks so much for stopping by.